Hello, everyone. My name is Angelica, and I will be co-facilitating today's webinar. I want to go ahead and also introduce Oscar. I'm sure many of you guys, if you joined us before in the first part of this series, know him well. Oscar is the Chief Empowerment Officer of Aspira Consulting, where both of us help out anywhere from students to professionals find their career aspirations, but also an important part of our business is also identifying how your cultural identity impacts your career journey. And we love being able to blend these two topics together, which is why we are coming to you with how to network like a comadre on LinkedIn. I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Angelica. And everyone today, special treat because I'm co-facilitating today's talk with my daughter, Angelica. And it's rare to see a father-daughter combo, much less on LinkedIn. Angelica, as you can see, she is what we call the Cultural Engagement Officer here at Aspira Consulting. She not just does a lot of behind the scenes, but also engages a lot with her clients and really to help understand more the nuances, the needs, et cetera, and so forth. And then she also does some of the trainings too as well. And that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so let's get started here. Here's the agenda, everyone. Number one, we're going to be talking about what is it that holds us back from doing some networking from a comadre perspective. Number two, it starts with you and I, in terms of networking and building these relationships. Number three, we're going to be talking about how to network on LinkedIn, obviously like a comadre. That's the main topic here. And then also, comadreando on LinkedIn, follow up with some Q&A and some group coaching session here that we'll do. You're welcome to stick around afterward. Okay, before we begin, all right, one of the questions that I want to ask all of you is, when you think of the word comadre, what is your definition? There isn't actually a word in English for comadre, but typically it is the relationship between two godparents. But the relationship between the two adults, there isn't a word for that. And in Spanish, it's comadre. So, okay, let me see the chat here. Amiga, communication, trust, yes. Trusted friend, trusted circle, friends, family, your close circle, confianza, yes. Oh, ride or die, yes. Una amiga I can trust that won't judge me after I share my ugliest stressors in life. Oh, yes. Godmother who looks out for you as a parent, best friend, confidant, someone you trust. Yes. Familia elegida, that's right. Folks, you notice a common thing here? Trust, right? Someone that doesn't judge you, co-parenting, right? I mean, think about it, right? Our children are our most precious, joys, and to trust someone else with them, right? That is like ultimate. Sometimes I hear in English the word sisterhood, but I think it's even beyond, comadres, goes even beyond the sisterhood, because I just told you earlier, those of you that live in Denver, can you please let my sister and my brothers know to reach out to me? Okay, right? Right, so comadre just has a much deeper meaning here. Next, think of someone that's a comadre. Who comes to mind that's a comadre? You don't have to list. If you want, you can list a name, but it could be a coworker. It could be even your sister, right? It could be someone really close. Who comes to mind that's a comadre? Yeah, my prima, my sisters, my business partner, my boss. Awesome. Okay, an old coworker, a friend. Folks, think about this, right? That this word comadre isn't, again, just something blood related. At some point, our boss was a complete stranger. We didn't know him or her. And over time, we've learned to open ourselves up. They've opened themselves up and developed that strong bond relationship here. Why am I bringing these things up, folks? Because I want to bring back to the forefront of some of the fundamentals of what is important to develop these relationships, whether it's on LinkedIn. The truth is, it doesn't just have to be on LinkedIn. We're just using LinkedIn as an example here, as a tool, but it can be across the board. I want to share with you this picture here. So some of you know this, that I split my time between living in the San Francisco Bay Area, that's my home base, and in Puerto Vallarta. And about a month ago, I was walking back. I know you don't feel bad for me. I was walking back from the beach, okay, watching the beautiful sunset over there in Puerto Vallarta, all right? And walking back to my place, I saw these two ladies in front of their house And I took a picture and I'm like, this is what a comadre does in Mexico. It is actually a common scene out there, and especially in some of the smaller towns. Puerto Vallarta is kind of a medium-sized town, so I was happy to see this, where oftentimes the women bring out the chairs, sometimes the guys too, and they're with either friends or family, and they're just yakking it up and just catching up on the day, whatever. Some of us say chismeando, kind of gossiping. Fine, I don't care. That's just conversing. I took this picture because I said, you know what, I'm going to share it with all of you so that we can understand truly what a visual representation of what comadres are, or in Spanish, the word comadreando. Okay. So Angelica, I'm going to turn it over to you here.
Well, hello, everyone. So before we really get into the thick of it, I think it's important to understand what is holding us back. There's a reason you're here to learn about networking. Obviously, if we were a master of it and everyone was great at it, none of us would be on this webinar. So I think it's important, before we can start throwing tips out at you, to understand what it is specifically that is keeping you from networking, or perhaps what is making it difficult for you to network. Now, for me personally, I know for a fact when I graduated from college, I did not network. There was never stressed to me the importance of networking. As a Latina, as someone in education who wanted to pursue a doctorate eventually, I had gotten used to and accustomed to everything I had to do. I had to do it by myself. No one was going to help me along the way. No one was going to hold my hand. And I knew that the work that I put in was going to be done by me, and I was my own advocate. And I think a lot of times, if you are where you are, it's because you fought for it. Whatever cultural background you come from, there's a certain amount of strength and fortitude that you've had to create, and a lot of obstacles you've had to endure. And with that becomes this mentality that I am a warrior, and a warrior fights on her own, and therefore I should be able to do everything on my own. But that is not the case. And with networking, it's definitely realizing that, and realizing that in order to get where you want to go, you're gonna need someone to, help you pass that baton, or hold your hand and pull you up to that next step. So this is an opportunity circle where the fewest opportunities exist with friends and family. Now, that's typically also the most comfortable we may feel. We may feel more comfortable asking a best friend for help, or a best friend, hey, can you refer me to some opportunity? Can you, help me out? And then the next layer of that circle is kind of some casual acquaintances. Perhaps you really got along with someone that you just got to know on a webinar, perhaps. And we're kind of getting some closer, maybe more opportunities, because obviously you're opening up your network. And then lastly here, we have like the last layer of the circle with strangers. We have not met that person yet, and we will never meet that person if we just stay within that small little circle. So the next slide, we're going to talk about networking phobia. And this almost goes beyond the fact perhaps you've had to go through life, being your own warrior, but it's also now realizing, okay, I have to let someone into that circle. Who am I going to let in? What is keeping me from letting that person into my circle? And so we're going to talk about some of the things that are holding us back. So what's holding you back? And I think the very important part about this is you're going to have to be truthful and vulnerable with yourself. And as a warrior, as a chingona, that is the scariest thing you could possibly have to do, is be honest with yourself. And by saying it out loud, it makes it that much real and that much more frightening. And I know it's also very important for you to realize those, because otherwise you will not move on to the next step. Or if you do move on to the next step of networking, it's going to be half-assed. Okay. So first thing that's holding you back, cultural baggage. I know for a fact, for me growing up, there were instances where I knew in certain situations where I needed to shut my mouth, and I knew in other certain situations where I was allowed to talk. And it was very much tiptoeing that line of figuring out, oh, if I speak my mind right here, I'm going to get shut down. But if perhaps in an academic setting where they don't really know my ethnicity, or perhaps, I'm seen at least somewhat as an equal, like I'm able to speak, or I'm able to share my thought and connect with someone on some type of professional level. And so cultural baggage definitely is impactful in terms of how you're willing to open up and talk to others. Another one's expectations. I know that a lot of times, especially in the professional world, but also academically, it was expected that, especially with a boss or someone who is more knowledgeable than you, expectation was you're there to learn. You're a worker, you're not the boss. You're there to take orders. You have your purpose is very much contained into your job description. And so speaking out, or even so much as, saying, hey, like, I love that idea. I did something similar, back in when I was with this job, that is considered, whoa, what are you doing? Imposing your opinion as a person, as your own entity. Like, how dare you stray from the flock? And then we have number 3, what is holding you back? Imposter syndrome. If you don't have an imposter syndrome at one point in your life, you're not human. The idea that you are not good enough, that no matter how much knowledge you have, how qualified you are not enough. And if you aren't enough, then you do not have the confidence to go and put yourself out there and be able to, again, connect with others. So that imposter syndrome is definitely something that can be extremely debilitating. Number 4 here, so what is holding you back? Failure and rejection. I think a lot of times we have gotten to where we are professionally because we have fought hard, and the idea that this next step is necessary in networking and being vulnerable, and then getting rejected because you were willing to be vulnerable is like 2 times as destroying, because not only did you put the effort into putting yourself out there, but also you went through your own emotional journey to get there. And so that rejection is definitely something that, believe it or not, as women, we're used to it. We're used to rejection. We're used to not being heard. We're used to, being cast aside. But at the same time, it's realizing, like, don't get desensitized by it. Then you're all of a sudden, okay, well, that's, it is what it is. I'll go find someone else who values me. Yeah, but also if you keep waiting for someone to give you permission to speak, you're going to be holding your breath for a very, very long time. And so these are definitely some things that we identified as perhaps obstacles that are holding you back. Obviously, there are many, many more, but we just wanted to give a few examples here. So that's great. I know women have trauma from existing, literally just being ourselves. While that may not be, you're like, yeah, hey, God, yeah, duh. Like, I've experienced this since I was like 4. There's also a point where, how do we take our power back? And this really reminds me of, and I think a lot of times it's easy to tell someone, okay, speak up, go out and ask a question. I've heard it time and time again. Someone be like, okay, well, believe in yourself. Oh, thanks so much. Let me like log off right now. Like, that's so great. They have at Michael's at Home Goods signs that say that, believe in yourself, and people put it up in your home, and you're like, okay, positive affirmation, positive thinking. But honestly, it really got me thinking about, I have a 4-year-old cousin, and she is the most outspoken. Sometimes I just look at her and I'm like, where did you pull that out from? She's the sassiest, she's the brave, she knows what she wants, she's not afraid to say what she wants. And we have an ongoing joke where she's not a huggy person, she's not very affectionate, and she's 4 years old. All you want to do is hug a 4-year-old, right? You just want to squeeze them. And I had a joke with her saying, you have to tell people if you don't want it, like, my body, my rights. And so every time now someone like comes up to her and she's like not having it, this little girl, she has like 100 words in her vocabulary right now, but she goes, my body, my rights. Like, and I just look at her and I laugh and I laugh and I laugh. But then I also thought, who is this little girl who's able to say and put her foot down, set her boundaries, but also be like, okay, like, I'll still talk to you and I still want to, play with you and everything. But, this is where I'm comfortable at, and let's meet halfway. She is 4 years old and she's able to articulate that. Who are we as grown adults not able to articulate what we want out of this networking relationship, what we're looking for with other people? And I think most importantly out of all of this is, if you can't do it for yourself, think about the next generation, that example that you're setting for the next, because this generational trauma needs to stop at some point. This is not an heirloom that we want to pass down to our kids and cousins, and it's something that needs to stop with us. So how do we do that? Taking back your power. So first off, identify there is a moment, and I know the moment in my personal where I was like, oh my goodness, like I just got shut down. Like, why would I ever want to talk to another human being? Why would I ever want to share an idea? Why would I ever want to reach out and connect with another person if I know all they're going to do is just dismiss me or be like, yeah, I thought of that already. What's so unique about you? Why should I talk to you? So identifying that moment, and as painful as that may be, it's also what's going to lead you to the next step. Most importantly, it's important to identify the feelings. So embarrassment, shame, guilt, any ugly, yucky feeling, and being able to identify that, the moment, and then the feelings associated with it, and kind of sitting with it. And it's very uncomfortable and it's awkward. It's not enjoyable, but without going through that moment, you're not going to be able to get into the next step, which is impact. How did that impact you? I don't want to talk out anymore. I don't want to go to networking events. I literally puke before I have to go and show my face anywhere having to do with professional careers or whatever. And then lastly, you need to reframe. The point of this is taking back your power. You gave away your power to someone. And realizing you gave that power away as a chingona, as a warrior, is again gut-wrenching. Realizing that you gave a little piece of yourself to someone who did not deserve it, who did not deserve to take away your light, who did not deserve, to make you feel that way. But it's reclaiming that and acknowledging that they no longer have the power. They no longer will have that control over you because you control you. You have that strength. You have proven that time and time again because you're here on this webinar, that you have pulled yourself from those ugly moments. And so it's important to realize that, yeah, this moment sucks and it stinks, but obviously you've done something right along the way because you're here. So again, it's reclaiming that power and realizing that it's you, again, that's going to help you get through it, but also realizing that once you do get through those moments, it's going to feel so much better once you embrace others and finally find that group that supports you, and realizing that you're a warrior and you have the strength and the fortitude to continue. And then back to you.
I don't know if I want it back, Angelica. I think maybe you should just keep going. Hey, I'm so proud of you, Angelica. Right on. I mean, seriously, I was taking some notes. I'm like, oh crap, I think I need to redo my presentation here. Yeah, everyone, wasn't she awesome? I mean, seriously, I'm not just saying this because she's my daughter, but damn, she dropped some amazing golden nuggets there. Thank you. That was awesome, really was. Okay, folks. So again, Comadreando, networking starts with you and I. One of the things that I share, and I had to kind of touched upon this. See, my natural personality is an introvert. Okay. And I know many of us don't believe it because we have this misperception that if you do a talk, a public speaker, public training, we're an extrovert. That's not necessarily true. But one of the things that I have done to reframe networking is really stay true to my core values of why I do what I do. And for me, it comes down to three things. I love helping other people dream bigger. I love inspiring them, and I love serving them or helping them, which is why I'm able to get out of my comfort zone, do a webinar like this, because I want to help all of you, as many as I can. And so I encourage all of you to sit down and think about what is my true core values and how does those core values align to networking, comadreando, okay? Because again, it will help you not only be in alignment, but it will help push you out of your comfort zone more and more because you just come back to those core values. Next, in terms of comadreando and networking, as an introvert, I reframed it in terms of being un amigo, being a friend, and I realized too that it's a two-way street in terms of reaching out to people, meaning that if people don't reach back out to me, I have to be okay with that. In fact, everyone, again, this is a free webinar that I'm doing. From a business standpoint, I'm losing money being on here, okay? But you know what I did is I created this event on LinkedIn, and a bunch of people, 170, 180 people clicked on, yes, I'm gonna show up. And what I did is over the last about 4 or 5 days, I messaged about 170 people saying, hey, by the way, just because you liked the event on LinkedIn, you need to register on Eventbrite, and here's the link if you're interested. It took me a long time because those were individual messages. I did not mass message. Some of you got that message. And can I tell you something? And again, I'm not here to bust your jobs. I'm just telling you the numbers here, masses. About 7 of those 170 people that reached out replied back and said thank you or some form. That's 0.4%. Folks, to be a friend, quite frankly, it doesn't take a lot. What is something that we teach our little kids, those of us that have kids, when they walk into a room? Saluda, say hello. Do we not, as a parent, do we not teach our kids to be polite and say hello? Then why is it that when we become professionals, we stop saying hello? I guess we're professional, so I don't need to respond. Oh, it's on social media. No, folks, that's where we get it wrong. It's human to human connection. It's not social media. It's just a tool. It's like a phone. When your phone rings, do you not say hello, or do you just like press on and like, I mean, think how weird that would be. We need to be comadres all the time. All right, connecting like a comadre. So folks, in terms of connecting like a comadre, here's some things that I recommend that you do. Number one is, again, be other focused. Those of you that I'm connected with you on LinkedIn, you notice the majority, probably 95% of the content, the things that I share are some kind of tips, information to help you, to help others. Rarely do I ever post, come buy this from me, do this for me. Like I see some, and again, I'm not putting other people down, but I see some of these other trainers, like they post this like, you know, oh, here's this tip, here's a tip, here's a tip. And then at the end, by the way, sign up for my paid webinar, sign up to buy my book. Fregada con tu book, okay? Like shove the book, you know where, okay? Like I'm over here giving value. Number two, your LinkedIn profile. Make sure this is not a LinkedIn class, workshop, or anything. I do that. There's plenty of stuff online you can watch, but create a LinkedIn profile that attracts people. Can I tell you something? There are some of you that will put on lipstick to get on a Zoom call on a one-on-one. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. You do whatever you want. But can some of you put lipstick on your LinkedIn profile, make it look good too? Please. Number three, share content. Again, share that value-added information. Some of you, again, you're great on Instagram and other, do it. But I'm going to tell you, there are 2 social media platforms right now that are getting the best organic outreach: TikTok and LinkedIn. You notice on Facebook and Instagram, it's really hard to get engagement, but TikTok and LinkedIn. If you go on TikTok, you know what you do. In fact, nowadays you don't need to dance anymore, okay? Which is why I haven't been on TikTok, okay? Because I can't dance, all right? There are some things that skip generations, okay? And especially being Latino, like I do, Neil, you know? TikTok and LinkedIn, share some value on content. Next, share your story, folks. Right now it's graduation season. 2 days ago, through my feed, there was a post from a gentleman, first generation military person, single dad, graduated from San Diego State University. Beautiful post story that he wrote about his struggles, almost quitting college, et cetera, and so forth. And it turns out that he was diagnosed with ADHD, completed his graduation. Picture of himself with his graduation picture and his son right next to him. That dude has gotten like, I don't know how many thousands of views on that post. And I commented it and he connected with me. And it's the principio, the start of networking, of quite frankly, a friendship. What it is. And then lastly, personalize your messages, okay? When you connect with people. Now, let's talk about LinkedIn comadres. What are some things that we can do on LinkedIn? But first of all, in terms of the type of comadres that we have out there, these are 5 main types of comadres to have. Number one, a mentora, a mentor. Sometimes I get the question asked by people, it's like, Oscar, how do I find a mentor? And I like to keep things really simple. Also, I understand that people are very busy. The word just general mentor, like when someone reaches out and says, can you mentor me? That carries a lot of responsibility, a lot of weight. And for me personally, it's hard for me to commit to something like that, just given my schedule and things that I do. So one way to find mentors is just be a friend to them. Just start that. Some of you, that's what we've done. We just started a friendship. And guess what? When you reach out to me, message me, oftentimes I reply back. And quite frankly, it's a form of mentorship because I don't view it as a big commitment. It's becoming, again, that friendship. So just be a friend, reach out and let that relationship grow organically. Number two, promotora, promoter, someone that knows your skills, what you bring to the table, what you're interested in. And when you're not around, you're top of mind. That's what I mean. I have some of those people, and some of you are on here, and I'm grateful and thank you for thinking of me, opportunities that you connect me. The next one, the connector. The difference here with the connector is it's not necessarily someone that's connecting you to another opportunity, but it just could be like-minded people, people with similar interests. And then of course, the amiga, okay, a friend. But again, and this is, think of not just a casual sort of friend. Remember that definition that you described, someone that's a confidant, ride or die, et cetera. That's what I'm talking about. And you also need to have a thick skin, because if you're screwing up, messing around, don't you want that person to be honest with you? Like, folks, if I'm like walking down this path and I don't realize at the end of the path there's a cliff I'm going to fall off, I'd rather have a broken leg and be alive than be dead. Okay. And then lastly, a coach. A coach, someone that is either doing what you're doing in terms of work, et cetera, or maybe has experience or used to do it. Okay. And you reach out and they can give you some industry knowledge, et cetera, and so forth. So again, these are the 5 types of comadres that we want to have. Obviously, I'm talking here from a professional standpoint. Okay, comadreando on LinkedIn. All right.
Okay, who to connect with? Obviously, okay, let's say you don't have a LinkedIn. I will use another analogy. This is our swipe right, swipe left moment. Who will you say yes to? Whose roles will you take? Who will become part of this exclusive network that is your community? If I base this solely on the fact that if I've ever met this person in real life, I'd have like 4 connections. My dad being like one of them. So obviously we have to open up this circle a little bit and kind of understand, okay, what are the parameters? Because obviously there's a lot of people on LinkedIn. Should we connect with all of them? No. Are you best friends with everyone? No. Okay. So it's okay to realize that. It's okay to be selective. So first off, who should we connect with? Obviously, supervisors, colleagues, people who, are in that same environment as you. And then next we have people who are in the same job, same industry as you. And you'll see as we go up this pyramid, it kind of slowly gets more and more like selective depending on how tight knit that community is or how perhaps larger industry is, and so on and so forth. The next tier to that pyramid is people who are in a different industry, but same occupation. This is, again, like Oscar mentioned earlier, you'll notice that you'll have certain similarities with each group and you'll have complete differences, but it's those differences that also allow a diverse perspective. So again, this is why we encourage people to connect with others that, maybe you only have one thing in common, maybe you have 2, maybe you have 3. Great. Those connections are great, but also you want a diverse feed. You want diverse posts. So the next tier, executives and influencers. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to accept your LinkedIn, especially the higher and more selective you get. But it's definitely keeping in mind that it is okay that to, follow that CEO, be friends, connect with that CEO online. Do not be shy. They're on there obviously for a purpose. And if they're not expecting to connect with other people, then, that's their problem, not yours. And then lastly, we have alumni or perhaps, people from your past that obviously, you haven't talked to in a while, but you guys have shared some struggles together. This is who does Oscar connect with? So again, we've already kind of touched upon this is who will add value to your network. Value can come in different ways. Is it value in the terms of perhaps they have similar stories as you? Value, maybe they provide great tips. Value in the sense of maybe they provide you a little bit of, comedic relief, but also, real wisdom and, some truth bombs. Another one is mutual connections. Oh, mutual connections. I'm pretty sure there's like 10,000 that my dad has. And believe me, of those, like probably a good portion of them are first connections with him. And so, yes, I do go through. I'm like, oh, yes, like in common. Sometimes I just go through and be like, oh, great. Why wasn't I connected to them before? And then, of course, geographic location. For business purposes, like we do not plan on going to Saudi Arabia. Even though Oscar just got a request to do something in Kazakhstan. I do not plan on going to Kazakhstan. I'm sure it's a beautiful country, but I do have it where it's like, if I can't bring any value to you either, then I'm not going to connect with you. I had someone who tried to connect with me who was in B2B sales. I am not in sales. I've never done anything in sales. The closest thing to sales is, finding a sale at Target. Okay, like that's the closest I come to sales. I have no experience, no background. I'm not going to be able to help you in any way. I don't know anyone in my network who would be able to help you anyway. Let me do you the favor, and we're not going to connect. That's okay. No one's feelings is getting hurt. No one's like feeling like they're getting dumped. It's okay to say no. And so these are some of the parameters we have in terms of connecting with people. And I'll pass this back over to Oscar.
Yeah, so here's some networking ideas, folks. Again, posting some content out there increases that engagement, the people liking, et cetera, and also visibility. Number two, again, just engaging with others. It could be as simple like, hey, congratulations on the promotion, the new job, or maybe some more insightful comments on a post that really resonates with you, your professional brand, your industry. Number three, follow hashtags. One of the things too, so naturally the LinkedIn algorithm, your feed, it's based on your engagement over time on the platform. But what you can also do is rearrange that feed so you can follow hashtags like, for example, hashtag STEM. Let's say you're into STEM, right? And so what will happen is when you do hashtag STEM and then search, any post that is public, meaning it's visible to everyone, that has the hashtag STEM will show up on your feed instead. So that's another way for you to be more targeted in terms of who you engage with, knowledge, et cetera, and so forth. Also, there are many LinkedIn groups as well that you can follow. One of the nice things too with LinkedIn groups is that even if you are not connected, meaning a first degree connection with someone, you can message each other for free, even if you have the free version. Like I have the free version of LinkedIn, folks, okay? So that's another nice thing in terms of Comadreando. And then of course, any targeted searches that you do, the search field and on LinkedIn can get very, very specific again to help you with some networking ideas. Okay, so here's the networking exercise that I want. This is what I do when I attend webinars. So first thing is, I want you to log in to LinkedIn if you're on your desktop. Okay, open up another window and log in to your LinkedIn account. What I want you to do now is I want you to share your LinkedIn URL in the chat. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to click on the LinkedIn URLs that you are seeing in the chat. Every time you click on the LinkedIn URL, a new window will pop up with that person's LinkedIn profile. Now, again, you're going to have a bunch of windows open up. After the webinar, I want you to go to that person's profile and click connect, not follow. Some people, like in my case, LinkedIn shows follow. If it shows follow, go to the right where it says more, and a little drop-down menu appears, click connect, and then I want you to personalize your message. I saw you on the Comadre LinkedIn webinar, something like that. I'm going to show you an example here of what I did, but this is what I want you to do today. And next time you're on another webinar and people drop their LinkedIn URLs, follow this. Here's an example, folks. So about a week or two, I was on a webinar, the ER Exchange, and Edgar, I saw he dropped his LinkedIn URL. I did exactly what I just shared with you. And so afterwards, I sent him this quick message. Quite frankly, it was the same message that I sent everyone else. It's a template, just keep it easy. Simple. Hi, Edgar, I'm on the ER Exchange. Let's connect on LinkedIn. He accepted my invitation to connect. I followed up with a voice message, and then he followed it up with, good morning, Oscar. Never seen a voice message come through on LinkedIn. Pretty cool. How did you do that? I actually like using the voice message feature, and it's available on the mobile app. On the bottom right, there's a little microphone. Just tap on that, and you send the voice message. Why do I like it? Number one, I'm a lazy writer. I'd rather just voice message. Number two, very few people use this feature, so it helps me stand out. Like, look what Edgar said. And number three, it's just a little more personal. You get to hear the person's voice message. Okay. And let me share with you really quickly the message that I sent Edgar, because you're probably wondering here what it is. Here it is.
Edgar, thanks again for accepting my invitation to connect on LinkedIn. It's always great to run across other DEI and ERG champions. I look forward to following your career journey and your posts on LinkedIn. Have a great week.
That's it, folks. Simple. That's it. And look, again, I guarantee you, just that short little differentiator just strengthens the relationship between Edgar and myself. And you know what's the thing is? We've never met in person, folks. Like, I'm all for meeting in person and doing present. I miss it. I really do. But I don't use that to keep me from comadreando. I mean, some of you, again, watch, La Rosa de Guadalupe, and you feel like you know the actors there. And you like, never met them. Like, like, yeah, they show up on Instagram or Facebook. You're like, oh, I see, like you're all emotional, invested. I'm like, what? You never even met him. But I get it, okay, how we are as humans. All right. So here's some example in terms of how to build a stronger Comadre community, okay? Number one, folks, is make sure that you align your content with your brand. In July, my third and last session I'm gonna do is gonna touch up on this and more in depth. But what do I mean by that? Folks, my brand and what I focus on is on LinkedIn, career training, Latinx, first generation. Like, I believe in taking care of the environment, but can I tell you something? You will never see me click on a post that says, Happy Earth Day, recycle, because that is not in alignment with my brand. I stay in my lane, and it just helps me stay focused instead of being like a kite without a tail all over the place. Number two, I post daily. I do not expect any of you to be that active on LinkedIn here. Although some of you are on Instagram and Facebook every day, okay? But somehow you can't get on LinkedIn, a professional platform, okay? But anyways, so at least maybe once or twice a week. That's it. Once or twice a week, okay? Keep it simple. Add some meaningful comments. I kind of talked a little bit about that. Number four, folks, reach out to certain people maybe every 3 or 4 months. I have over 10,000 people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. There is absolutely no way that I can stay in touch with every single person. But I do have my comadre, my compadre list. And you know what? I reach out to people. Some of them I don't reach out to LinkedIn. I just reached out to a friend of mine about a month ago, almost 2 months ago. And through WhatsApp, I sent her a voice message. She didn't respond, which was, that's kind of unusual. And then I sent her another message about 2 or 3 weeks ago, same thing on WhatsApp. And she finally, about 2 days ago, yesterday, replied back. She's like, Oscar, I'm really sorry. I lost my husband. Right. But again, folks, it's just me reaching out, okay? And then look, folks, to then take that conversation offline. Look to take that conversation to the virtual front porch of your house, like those two ladies did in a picture that I shared with you. And let me show you an example here in terms of building community here that's with people that you don't even engage with. On the left is a CEO. He's like, every morning I see you all over LinkedIn. It puts a smile on my face, seeing and feeling your energy. It's exciting to see how far you have come. He saw me when I first started. In fact, he and I actually did a talk at a networking event pre-COVID, standing just, all squeezed in there and this bunch of other people around us. And on the right, a gentleman that never engaged. We've been connected on LinkedIn for about 7 years. Never, ever, not even a little thumbs up emoji. And he sent me this message: Oscar, I enjoy and admire your excellent presence and contributions on LinkedIn, even more as I invest more time to help build platform for my upcoming book release in September 2022. He actually went on to say, hey, maybe you can give me some tips. I was like, wow, this guy sees like my stuff. But again, it's an example, folks, of just building that community and engagement, comadreando. It's not always the way we traditionally think of it. Folks, I want to leave you with this, the essence of networking like a comadre. And I put this on LinkedIn. No, I'm not going to your networking event. I'm not going to your networking event hungry, eat finger food, and leave hungry. I'm not going to your networking event and only talk business. I'm not going to your networking event and whitewash my story to fit in. I'm not going to your networking event and RSVP a month in advance. I'm not going to your networking event and have to leave at a specific time. Instead, I will invite you to my fiesta We'll have lots of food. We'll even send you home with a giant plate of food. We'll talk family first, maybe business. We'll share stories and laugh a lot without minimizing each other's experiences. You don't need to RSVP. In fact, bring as many guests as you like. You can even stay for as long as you want. And you're welcome to stay for el recalentado, the after party. You see, mi cultura, en mi cultura, you are like familia to us. This, amigas y amigos, comadres, compadres, is the essence of comadreando. All right. I just talked about El Calentado, okay? Angelica will also share with you in the chat some free online resources to help you more with the networking and so forth. One other resource too, on our website, for those of you, companies, I also do professional development programs for ERG groups. So if your company has an ERG group and you're looking for a trainer, speaker, down the road for Hispanic Heritage Month, keep me in mind, okay? And if you didn't like what I said, erase me, okay? No, that's it. Part 3 session, the third and final session, is going to be on July 19th. Same time, 10 to 11 p.m. Pacific time. And the topic is going to be how to create and promote your career portfolio like a chingona. All of you are, again, super chingonas, chingones, but many of us don't know, how to create a career portfolio. And then some of us are afraid or don't know how to promote that. So I'm going to be talking about this. And again, on July 19th. So lastly, connect with me on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram. We also have a podcast, Career Talk with OG. It's on all the platforms. For those of you that are introverts like myself, on the bottom left is my email and website.